Royal treasuries. Dozens of tiaras and jewels that once dazzled at royal courts now rest in chests and museum display cases. Some have been forgotten, others simply went unnoticed. But from time to time, someone opens a jewelry box, and history comes alive again. That is exactly what happened in March of this year. Queen Mary of Denmark appeared at a gala dinner in Finland, wearing a golden tiara that no one had worn for over a century. All this time, it had been on display in one of the glass cabinets at the Amalienborg Museum, right in front of visitors, yet overshadowed by more famous exhibits, and only now, decades later, did it return to a royal head. And this is not the first time that long-forgotten royal jewels have unexpectedly reappeared. There are moments when a tiara, thought to be forgotten, suddenly appears on a princess, or when a jewel, unknown to even the most dedicated collectors, takes center stage at a royal banquet. Today, we will talk about such discoveries, jewels that vanished from sight, only to one day return and astonish everyone. Which treasures have already found their second life? And what hidden gems might surprise us next? Let's find out. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. Queen Mary appeared in this tiara unexpectedly, as if she had pulled it from the past. But in reality, it had been in the Amalienborg Museum all along, on a public display route where anyone could see it, yet few paid attention. It was never locked away in vaults, never considered lost, but it had remained overlooked for years, and yet no one expected its return. This golden tiara was created around 1820 for Queen Caroline Amalie, wife of King Christian VIII. Unlike later royal jewels adorned with dazzling diamonds and rubies, its main decoration consists of 11 carved gemstones collected in Italy during the royal couple's travels. Its classical design, inspired by antiquity and the fine craftsmanship of its jewelers, made it unique, though not as striking as the famous royal tiaras set with large precious stones. After Caroline Amalie's death, the tiara was not passed down to future queens for ceremonial use, as was customary. Over time, it ended up among the museum's exhibits, not in storage but openly displayed at the Amalienborg Museum. To visitors, it was just another artifact from the 19th century, and to historians, a forgotten jewel that attracted little attention. And then, in 2025, Queen Mary did something no one expected. She wore a tiara that had been merely a part of history for over 140 years, rather than an active piece of the royal wardrobe. This was not just a fashion choice. It was a deliberate statement that brought attention to Denmark's royal collection as a whole. After this appearance, the tiara will not return to the Amalienborg Museum. Instead, it will take its place in the treasury under Rosenborg Castle, where Denmark's royal jewels are kept. The golden tiara shone the brightest that evening, but other jewels complemented its story. On Queen Mary's wrist was a bracelet with an extraordinary history, an heirloom that once belonged to Princess Wilhelmine Marie. In 1828, her future husband, Prince Frederick, traveled through Italy and, inspired by the smoking Mount Vesuvius, selected a special gift for his fiancée. He brought back a golden bracelet set with gemstones found at the foot of the volcano. To make it even more romantic, he had an inscription engraved inside, "From the summit of blazing Vesuvius, my heart flies to you, April 24th, 1828. But, as often happens in royal romances, a passionate declaration of love did not lead to a happy marriage. A few years later, the union ended in divorce, and the bracelet remained the only lasting reminder of that time. For decades, it was kept among Denmark's royal relics until it was eventually placed in a museum collection. And now, nearly 2 centuries later, it is once again worn by a royal. To me, this bracelet was the perfect complement to the tiara. They seem to be made in the same style: massive gold, historic gemstones, a classic aesthetic of the past. Both carry an air of antiquity, a subtle nod to ancient times, while remaining elegant and regal. Another unexpected addition to Queen Mary's ensemble that evening was the citrine jewelry of Countess Danner. The story of this woman is a remarkable chapter in the history of the Danish monarchy. In the 19th century, Louise Christine Rasmussen was born into a craftsman's family and worked as a ballet dancer before meeting King Frederick VII. Their relationship was unusual for its time. She was not an aristocrat, yet the king made her his wife. As a token of his love, he gifted her a lavish set of jewelry featuring large golden yellow citrines. After Frederick VII's death, Countess Dana remained a controversial figure in Danish history. Over time, her jewels left the royal collection and were sold at auction in the 20th century. Decades later, the Carlsberg Foundation repurchased them and placed them in a museum, where they remained on display for many years. But recently, these jewels have found a new chapter in their story. In 2024, Queen Mary wore one of the brooches from the set for the first time, and now she chose it again for the gala dinner in Finland, once more recalling a long-forgotten episode of Danish royal history. Her gown that evening perfectly complemented the jewelry, black with a pattern of leaves and gold detailing. Simple yet elegant, it did not compete with the jewels, but rather highlighted them. The look was cohesive, restrained yet rich with history in every detail. If there is someone who knows how to rediscover forgotten pages of royal jewelry history, it is Queen Mary. This was not the first time she brought a historic piece back to life, transforming it from a museum exhibit into part of the royal wardrobe. Not long ago, she introduced another stunning rediscovery, a diamond bandeau that was created from an antique belt. Once, this belt was part of a courtly ensemble, but for decades it lay unused in storage. In the 20th century, it was moved to a museum collection, and it seemed its fate was sealed. It would remain a historical artifact rather than a functional piece of jewelry. But Mary saw it differently. She did not view it as an outdated relic, but as something with the potential for a new life. And so, a new diamond bandeau was born, elegant, modern, yet rooted in history. This was not merely an act of repurposing jewelry, but a genuine tribute to royal heritage. The Queen did not dismantle an old ornament, but rather gave it a fresh meaning, preserving its aesthetic while making it relevant for today. But more than anything, I admire this approach. The idea that jewelry is not just stored away, but given a second life. There is a special magic in this. Something that has long been merely a part of museum displays suddenly becomes a symbol of power, beauty, and history once again. Now I can't help but wonder, what other surprises await us? What else might Queen Mary retrieve from the royal vaults? Of course, such discoveries are not exclusive to Denmark. I recall several other moments when long-forgotten or rarely seen jewels unexpectedly appeared on royal women, astonishing the public and even expert jewel historians. Tiaras once thought lost, jewels unseen for over a century, treasures whose reappearance became a true sensation. Let's take a look at the most remarkable of them. One of the most spectacular such returns was the Strathmore rose tiara, an ornament that had remained in the shadows for many years before suddenly appearing on Catherine, Princess of Wales. This tiara entered the royal collection in 1923 as a wedding gift to then Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the future Queen Mother. It was presented by her father, the Earl of Strathmore, and has carried his name ever since. Designed as an intricate arrangement of diamond roses, it had a delicate, romantic aesthetic that perfectly matched the fashion of the 1920s. The Queen Mother wore it as it was meant to be worn at the time, low across the forehead, in Art Deco style, paired with soft waves in her hair and flowing gowns. But as tastes changed, the tiara gradually faded from view after the 1930s. What happened to it next? One might have expected it to become part of Queen Elizabeth II's royal wardrobe, yet throughout her reign she never appeared in this tiara. Perhaps she considered it too small or simple for official engagements, or maybe she simply never found the right occasion for it. Whatever the reason, the Strathmore rose tiara remained locked away for an entire century. Then, in 2023, it unexpectedly made its return. At the state banquet held in honor of the president of South Korea's visit, Catherine wore this very tiara. It was a surprise even for those who closely follow royal jewelry. The story of the Strathmore rose tiara is a prime example of how jewels long thought forgotten can suddenly return to the royal spotlight, reviving the past. But this was not the only case of a tiara re-emerging from obscurity. A similar fate befell another tiara that had not been seen for decades, the Aquamarine ribbon tiara. Its history is filled with mystery and unexpected twists, as there was a time when many believed it no longer existed. This elegant diadem, adorned with diamonds and featuring 5 large aquamarines, was part of Queen Elizabeth II's collection. She was first seen wearing it during her official visit to Canada in 1970. At the time, no one realized that this appearance would be its last for many decades. The tiara disappeared from public view, and many experts speculated that it had been dismantled, with its gemstones repurposed for the more imposing Brazilian aquamarine tiara, which Elizabeth frequently wore in later years. That was the assumption until 2012, when, as if by magic, the Aquamarine ribbon tiara reappeared in public. But this time it was not worn by Queen Elizabeth II, but by her daughter-in-law, then Countess of Wessex, Sophie. She chose this tiara for a gala dinner on the eve of the wedding of hereditary Grand Duke Guillaume of Luxembourg. For those who had long considered the tiara lost, its reappearance was nothing short of a revelation. Since then, it has been seen on multiple occasions, including at Princess Madeleine of Sweden's wedding in 2013 and a state banquet in 2018. But another unexpected moment came in 2024, when Queen Camilla wore this tiara for the first time at the diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace. She paired it with an aquamarine jewelry set from her personal collection. Her choice of aquamarines surprised many, as previously this tiara had been worn exclusively by the former Countess of Wessex. Perhaps this signals new trends in the royal family's approach to jewelry rotation. The British royal family has witnessed another remarkable case of a tiara re-emerging from obscurity, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik. This kokoshnik-style tiara, created by Boucheron in 1919, originally belonged to Margaret Greville, a prominent society figure known for her legendary jewelry collection. Upon her death in 1942, her entire trove of jewels was bequeathed to the Queen Mother, becoming part of the British royal collection. But here's what is truly surprising. Despite the vast array of jewels at her disposal, the Queen Mother never once wore this kokoshnik. Its fate remained a mystery for decades. Unlike the well-known Greville diamond tiara, which frequently graced the Queen Mother's head, this emerald-studded piece never saw the light of day. For over 75 years, it remained hidden from public view, with even royal jewelry experts unaware of its existence. Then, in 2018, it made a sudden and spectacular debut on Princess Eugenie's wedding day. Her choice of this tiara was completely unexpected. No one had anticipated that such a piece even existed within the royal collection, and its reappearance created a sensation among royal jewelry enthusiasts. The dazzling kokoshnik, adorned with a large cabochon emerald at its center, was breathtaking, and its debut became one of the most discussed moments of the royal wedding. This case once again proved that royal collections are full of hidden treasures, and that even experts do not always know the full extent of what lies within the royal vaults. And who knows, perhaps more surprises await us in the future. While Madame Greville's emerald kokoshnik simply waited for its moment in the royal vaults, the fate of Queen Sophia's tiara was far more mysterious. For many years, it was believed to be lost, perhaps even sold, as happened with some of the Greek royal family's jewels after the monarchy was abolished. But one day, it unexpectedly reappeared. This magnificent diamond tiara belonged to Queen Sophia of Greece, who was born a Prussian princess. It embodied both the classical elegance and grandeur characteristic of 19th century European royal jewels. The tiara featured a massive yet refined design, with large diamonds intricately woven into elaborate patterns, giving it a striking appearance. Sophia wore it throughout her reign and during her years in exile. After Queen Sophia's death, the tiara remained within the Greek royal family and later came into the possession of Queen Frederica through her husband, King Paul. Frederica made it one of the most significant pieces in her collection, frequently wearing it for state occasions, including foreign visits and official receptions. However, after the Greek monarchy was abolished in 1973, the tiara's fate became unknown. A significant portion of the royal family's jewels was lost, sold, or divided among family members. As the years passed, this piece never resurfaced. Many assumed that it had permanently disappeared from the royal collection. Then, in 2012, something unexpected happened. At a Jubilee banquet in honor of Queen Margrethe II of Denmark, Crown Princess Marie Chantal of Greece appeared wearing this very tiara. It was a revelation for those who closely follow royal jewelry history. A tiara long believed to have been sold was once again shining on a member of the Greek royal family. Unlike most royal tiaras, Sweden's cut steel tiara contains no diamonds, emeralds, or other precious stones. Instead, it is made entirely of highly polished and precisely cut steel, an unusual material for a royal jewel, but one that glows with a brilliance comparable to gemstones. According to legend, this tiara was created during the Napoleonic era and belonged to Hortense de Beauharnais, Queen of Holland, who was the stepdaughter of Napoleon Bonaparte. It is a masterpiece of metalwork, featuring intricate scrolls and floral motifs carved with extraordinary precision. Yet, despite its beauty, the tiara was forgotten for decades. The reason? A simple and almost comical mistake. It was misplaced in the wrong storage category at the Swedish royal palace. Instead of being stored among the crown jewels, it was kept in the section for metalwork artifacts, possibly mistaken for an ornamental headpiece rather than a valuable tiara. It remained unnoticed until 1976, when Swedish historian Göran Alm stumbled upon it while researching the Bernadotte family's historical artifacts. Imagine the moment. A seemingly ordinary metal item turned out to be an exquisite royal tiara. After being restored, the tiara returned to the Swedish royal family's collection, and soon, Queen Sylvia became the first to wear it in modern times. Her debut in this unusual piece took place in 1979 during a state visit to Austria. Since then, the tiara has remained in the Swedish royal collection, though it is not among the most frequently worn pieces, possibly due to its delicate nature. However, in recent years, it has gained a new admirer, Crown Princess Victoria. She has made it one of her signature tiaras for the annual Nobel Prize ceremonies, where it perfectly complements her regal yet modern style. Unlike traditional diamond tiaras, this unique piece gives her looks an almost historical charm, making it stand out among the dazzling jewels of other royal women. These stories are just the beginning. Royal treasuries still hold many secrets. Camilla has already surprised us by wearing brooches that had never been seen before or had long been forgotten. Perhaps she will uncover yet another hidden jewel? Or will one of Europe's queens make a sensational appearance in a relic once thought lost? One day in the future, Catherine will become queen. Her style is elegant, with a deep respect for history. Who knows what discovery she might bring to light? With each such reappearance of forgotten jewels, I become more and more curious. What will we see next? Which royal rediscovery has impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more brilliance ahead.